Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker. Terrific to have you along. We have flipped the calendar page. The fall sports season in November behind us. Time to usher in the winter sports season and a long December. And there's reason to believe that this one may be better than the last. There's always lots of optimism when a season begins. I welcome in Williamsport girls head coach Kevin Murphy. We're going to talk girls basketball. Coach, speaking of a season being better than the last year was your first. Great start, 15-8 at Williamsport. What's your mindset going into this season now that you have one season under your belt?
Well, last year, the initial shock of being a head coach and everything that comes with it, the first 6 or 8 weeks, it's like, wow, you're actually the head coach. And so that actually was a lot easier to adjust to this year. We started the practice November 15th, and I'm looking really forward to it. We have 6 of our top 8 kids returning from a team that I thought, did some really good things, and in some ways people would say overachieved.
Yeah, overachieved, I think, in terms of what people were expecting, because let's face it, the bar had gotten pretty low at Williamsport. To win 15 games, had to be very pleased with that. But going forward, I know as a competitor, you're looking for more wins, but what are you looking to instill in this team and to get out of this team this season?
Well, the one thing we had last year, which was really, it was kind of unbelievable how it came together. The kids believed in each other. There was a great culture built as the season progressed. The kids believed more and more what we were doing, and it was just pretty funny how it all worked together, where the kids continued to get better and better, and we just kept building on it. And we had a big loss midway through the season, Carly Robinson, which I thought was going to really disrupt our season, but it actually had the opposite effect. Our kids got even more together and got better and better as the season went on, and we played some tough teams down the stretch and finished up strong.
Well, the last 3 years in the county, everybody's talked about South Hagerstown and the Big Three. And of course, all of that is now behind us. South Hagerstown evidently in a rebuilding mode. So when you look to the top of the heap and you look back to last year's, mentioned 15-8 record for Williamsport, 15-8 also for Boonesboro, 2 teams that should be back near the top of the heap. What will it take for Williamsport to kind of separate itself this season?
We're going to have some young kids step up. We have 6 returners that played a lot last year. We have some young kids coming from the JV team. They're going to have to step up, as well as those kids that we have returning are going to have to do more. We lost a senior point guard. We're starting a sophomore point guard this year, and even though she's going to be a really good one, I really think Erin McVicker is going to have some games where you're going to be like, oh, here we go. She's going to have some adjustment period of taking on that full-time role. As far as Boonesboro goes, they're in a similar role, a similar situation than us. They had 15 wins, but it's tough to build on that year after year because it's high school athletics. You're going to lose key players. They lost some key players, and we did too.
Well, you get the leading returning scorer in the county back in Kate Wade, but I know you're really looking more at starting on the defensive end, and everything will have to sort of flourish from there.
Yeah, I've said it a million times to the kids. We won 15 games last year, but we had 1 kid averaging double figures. So we're all about defending and starting from there. Our defense will create our offense, and we can get some transition points and go from there. Kate being a junior now, it's her 3rd year on varsity. We're expecting even more from her this year. She's one of our captains, one of our leaders, and she's going to have to do a lot for us both on the offensive end and defensive end.
Considering what's over on that Boonesboro side of the ledger, as we talk this Boonesboro-Williamsport a little bit, what do you see over there that concerns you, or what do you see that Boonesboro is going to be able to do well?
Well, Coach Connolly's a lot like me. He's about energy, effort, defense, and building from there, and his kids play hard. So our games are always battles because we're very similar in styles, and so that right there is tough because you know what you're going to get from them. Every time we play them, it's going to be a battle. And so you can put all the records away. It's just going to be one of those games where it's probably going to be the first team to 40 wins. It's one of those type of things. But they're going to be improved this year because he's got some new kids, and he has a couple of young kids that are coming up from JVs. He's got a couple of freshmen that are going to be nice players for him. So he's got more depth than probably what we do.
And I didn't mean at all to dismiss South when I said, hey, it's going to be a rebuilding season. Very well could be. Certainly when you lose the caliber of players that South Hagerstown lost, and even North Hagerstown in terms of senior leadership. What are you expecting from those particular teams? Each of them now have new head coaches. Brad Rideout at North Hagerstown. Helen Mency takes over at South Hagerstown. And that's a little bit of the theme in girls basketball is some new head coaches in new places this season. But what are you thinking that you'll see from those two teams, maybe not knowing a tremendous amount given the fact that there are new head coaches in place?
As you said, they lost a lot of senior leaders from last year. Both teams, I think, had 5 seniors that started for them. Both of those coaches just mentioned have previous head coaching experience, so they're going to do a good job with them. They know what to expect. And I think both those teams you'll see, they're going to be quick, athletic. They're going to probably run up and down the floor, try to transition you, probably play aggressive defensively against you. So they're going to be tough. Whether they lost a lot of kids or not, they're still going to be better than what you think. And I think you'll see as the year progresses for them, since they're going to be having some younger kids in the lineup, you're going to see them get better and better in January and February.
A Smithsburg team that was just 1-20 a year ago gets a new head coach in Chip Bakedel and has one of the better players in the county coming back too.
Yeah, Cassidy Vega, and she scares you as an opposing head coach because she can go inside, she can go outside. She might be the toughest matchup in the county because of her three-point prowess and being able to go inside. And then on top of that, he's got some other players too. He had Sarah Duckworth come out this year that didn't play last year. She had a torn ACL, so she'll be a good steady leader for him at the point. He's got his daughter Haley Bakedel, and he's got other kids. So they're gonna probably play differently than last year. And I'll say this: they're definitely going to win more than one game than they did last year.
Wow, you're out on a major limb there on that one. It would only take 2 victories to get it done. But yeah, Smithsburg seemingly looks to be headed back in the right direction there. I think on the private school landscape, it's interesting that Nate Naylor goes from South Hagerstown over to St. James, perhaps making the Saints a little more relevant this season, coming off a 500 season a year ago. Naylor was 83% wins while he was at South Hagerstown. But St. Maria Goretti, I think, is the team that you really have to talk about there in terms of being a very formidable opponent this season.
Yes, we play them in, I think it's January, February, and they are going to be really good. They are very, very athletic. They've got some kids from Tuscarora that transferred in, Thomas Johnson, a couple of kids from South Hagerstown. So they've got a mixture there of kids that'll be really tough on a lot of the public schools because they're very athletic and quick. And you mentioned Coach Naylor, they're going to get better. This is his first year, and I think that once he gets the kids he wants in there, they're going to be very young this year, but I think they'll improve as the years go by, but he's going to be really young at St. James this year.
Well, you get that very tough start to the season. Once again, that's an understatement, but we wish you the best of luck and look forward to seeing you throughout the course of the season. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Wes.
I'll be back right after this. More girls basketball previews. We'll get Sam Connolly here from Boonesboro in just a moment.
Behind every great child, there is a great foundation. Premier Martial Arts will empower your child and give them a premier foundation to success. Our instructors have the passion to teach classes designed to build premier skills. Your child will develop greater self-control, confidence, and concentration. Premier Martial Arts will take your child up the path of greatness. Call Premier Martial Arts today.
If there's one thing my dad taught me, when life doesn't go exactly how you plan, keep it simple. Sometimes a few curveballs are thrown your way. With one visit to Bank of Charlestown, they helped me map out a strategy to start the next chapter of my life. Even though I work with my hands, I still work with people. That's what BCT does best. They're my trusted advisor for all the details and whatever comes next.
From home improvement loans and mortgages to business lines of credit, find out what a partnership with BCT can do for you. BCT, we simplify your financial life. Now in Hagerstown.
For over 25 years, Tony's Pizzeria has been serving authentic Italian cuisine. Open daily for lunch and dinner. Stop by today and enjoy one of their many house favorites, made fresh from scratch daily, in the newly expanded and remodeled dining area. Serving a full liquor bar, beer, and wine, Tony's 50-person banquet room is perfect for your next celebration. Dine in, take out, or delivery. Come see what's new at Tony's Pizzeria Restaurant and Grill, 10 East Salisbury Street in Williamsport.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with the girls basketball preview now, and I'm joined by Boonesboro head coach Sam Connolly. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Coming off a 15-win season a year ago, and I talked to Coach Murphy a little bit about this. What's your approach to this season? When you have a nice, successful season the year before, does that make it a little bit easier? Does it make it more difficult? How do you approach it?
I think the approach is that you have built-in expectations from the year before and some past success, but it's a new group of kids. Not completely, but there are some dynamics there that have changed from last season, and you have different hurdles than you did a year ago. So I think a year ago we were a bit younger, We had some probably lower expectations, and looking back on the season, I think the kids were looked at it as quite a success for themselves to be where they were at the end of the year. And I think this year that bar's raised a little bit.
What do you like that you've seen from this group so far?
Their commitment to each other, their commitment to the team. I love the fact that they play hard for one another. I think we do a good job of building from a defense-first mentality and from a team-first mentality. They really get along well. This is a very strong group of kids, 1 through 12, in terms of they believe in each other and they'll play for each other.
What has to happen with this team this year in order to achieve the goals that you would like to see them achieve?
We got to get tougher. And toughness is measured in different ways, but to me, we have to get tougher in terms of dealing with adversity. I think it'll be interesting to see. What I'm most anxious to see is how this team results when it gets into a close game or gets into or gets a loss situation. How do they bounce back from that? This is a team that saw a lot of success through the fall and the summer. They believe that they're good. They think they can have a good season. So I'll be interested to see when they start to have setbacks, both personally and within the team, and as a team, how they bounce back from that.
We're sort of setting this up as a Williamsport, Boonesboro type of a county head-to-head situation this year. Would you say that's pretty much fair for the most part?
Based on what players are returning and the inner workings of players moving around in the off season, I think Williamsport's got a good core back, great core back. They returned Kate Wade, who was I think one of the leading returning scorers in the area, and they've got some size inside. Olivia Coleman, Carly Robinson, who can both play well inside. So I think we have some things that we can do from a depth standpoint, I think, to combat that. But a tremendous amount of respect for Williamsport, and I think they're going to have a nice season.
Yeah, split your games with them last year. And of course, South Hagerstown having seemingly graduated everybody from that particular team.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a group that comes through every year. So to have talked about the big three the last 3 years, certainly they had deserved that. North Hagerstown graduating a whole lot of seniors too. And I think, Smithsburg, as Coach Murphy points out, probably has the best opportunity to improve. Obviously, when you win only one game the year before, there's plenty of improvement there, but a brand new coach there too.
Yeah, I think all three schools, when a new coach comes in, they bring new energy, and you find a new chemistry, new players, obviously, with the graduation rates that hit. I mean, when you talk about South, the big three, they're probably three of the top players in the last 5 years to come through the county, and they were all on one team. A tremendous hurdle to go against every year. But you talk about the situation in North with Coach Rideout. I've met him, I've talked to him. A lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. That can be a great situation for those programs. And then in Smithsburg with Cassidy Vega up there, she's probably if not the best player in the county, one of the top 2 or 3 best players. And they have a nice depth of talent there as well.
In mentioning players, who are you excited about on your team? I know coaches don't like to give one player dap necessarily over another one, but at least put it in this context. Who are you looking forward to seeing blossom this year?
I think Sydney Stotler is going to really step forward for us. She's a kid that has worked as hard as any kid I can remember in the off season in the program to get bigger and get stronger and quicker. She's really blossomed a lot, and I think seeing the return of Morgan Angle and Kayla Green in our backcourt. I mean, both of them are 3-year varsity players. Morgan's now a 3rd-year starter. Just seeing the maturity that those kids and the leadership that they've started to display are some of the kids that I'm anxious to see. And I think again our depth is going to be, going into each game. I think each game's going to carry on, who plays and who scores and who the stars are for our team. I just feel like we're very balanced.
I know you weren't a big fan of the way the playoff seeding shook out last year.
No.
Clearly, I mean, the way the seeding was done, the first 2 teams are seeded, and after that, it's just a crapshoot. And with a better record, you wind up going to play a very formidable Oakdale team at their place. So talk about the new seeding process a little bit.
Well, I'm very happy with it. I mean, I think in the in the 2A West, if you look at the records of the teams that were in our sectional last year, I believe 6 out of 7 teams had 10 wins or more. And then the team that had 4 or 5 wins was a very formidable Middletown team that ended up being a tough road team. But I think the new seeding is definitely a step forward for the state. I think it's long overdue. Again, the not being able to be, what we talked about, rewarded for the body of work of a regular season is so important. I just think, the regular season and how that leads towards how you compete in your conference is how you measure your success from a season. And, when you get in the playoffs, so many, 1-game formats, 1-game eliminations, so many different things can conspire to make it a win or a loss. And so many things are random in that situation that you can't measure your season based on that playoff performance. It comes down to what the regular season is. So it's nice to see it maybe translated into the playoffs.
Well, best of luck this season, Coach, and appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Wes.
I'll be back right after this. It's indoor track and field. I'll preview that with Coach TJ Hood from Smithsburg in just a moment.
Since 1963, you've been trusting the folks at Hagerstown Floors. It's still a family-owned and operated business featuring a variety of high-quality flooring choices for your home, like carpet, ceramic, hardwood, vinyl, and we offer floor sanding and refinishing for your existing hardwoods. And you'll find us stocked warehouse, full of flooring options for do-it-yourselfers, or take advantage of our in-house installers for expert installation. Hagerstown Floors on Virginia Avenue in Hagerstown, the trusted name in flooring since 1963.
For over 25 years, Tony's Pizzeria has been serving authentic Italian cuisine. Open daily for lunch and dinner. Stop by today and enjoy one of their many house favorites, made fresh from scratch daily, in the newly expanded and remodeled dining area. Serving a full liquor bar, beer and wine, Tony's 50-person banquet room is perfect for your next celebration. Dine in, take out, or delivery. Come see what's new at Tony's Pizzeria Restaurant and Grill, 10 East Salisbury Street in Williamsport.
Behind every great child, there is a great foundation. Premier Martial Arts will empower your child and give them a premier foundation to success. Our instructors have the passion to teach classes designed to build premier skills. Your child will develop greater self-control, confidence, and concentration. Premier Martial Arts will take your child up the path of greatness. Call Premier Martial Arts today.
Welcome back to our preview show. We continue now with indoor track and field, and I'm proud to welcome to the set TJ Hood, the brand new head coach at Smithsburg, 10th season with the Leopards now. Let's begin with the girls. Last year obviously was a tremendous year for the boys, but the girls seem to be an up-and-coming program. Can you talk about them a little bit this year and what you're seeing right now and your expectations for them?
Oh, certainly. Thanks for having me. With our girls this year, we graduated a couple of big-time point scorers for us, namely Emma Gerhold in the pole vault and hurdles and just about anything else we put her in. But we certainly have some star power back in Gabby Reason. She's the defending state champ in the 55-meter dash. She actually broke our school record on that occasion, beating a tremendous athlete at Smithsburg High School, Zoe Hunt. So to break that record was pretty impressive, to say the least. She was also a medalist in the 300-meter run. So she's by far the biggest name that we have back this year. But what's going to be interesting are our young distance crew. They're coming off a recent state championship in cross country. A few girls are doing indoor track for their first time. So it'll be interesting to see how they fill out. That pack mentality in cross country, much more team oriented. Track and field's a little different. You got to be a strong individual in track and field. So it'll be interesting to see what people like Mallory Moholt, Maddie Gilliam, and Quinn Wondolowski can do in those distance races for us.
Yeah, how much have you seen a transference from how well an athlete does in cross country to the track itself?
Usually that is tied directly to confidence. Track and field is a sport where confidence is absolutely critical because you're out there on the track all by yourself. You can't, if you're having a bad day, a teammate can't pick you up in an individualized sport. So the confidence coming off of having a good cross country season usually means more than even the conditioning element because of the mental side.
And you also have Kate Fauntleroy, the defending region champ in the high jump, so you get a little help in the field events there. And certainly everybody could use a little help within the county against a Boonesboro team that has been so dominant. 3 straight county championships by those Boonesboro girls, and doesn't look like there's a whole lot of letdown there, even though the Inside Sports Indoor Track and Field Athlete of the Year last year, Maggie Sullivan, has graduated. Still a pretty good nucleus there.
Outstanding nucleus, definitely dominated by their distance and middle distance crew, which indoor track tends to be a little bit more about your distance and middle distance program, just because of the difference in events from indoor and outdoor track for those people familiar with outdoor track. Obviously, the 2 big names are Megan Grams and Haley Wright. If Boonesboro so chose, those 2 athletes could do 4 open races and go 1-2 in all 4 of them and almost single-handedly win the county title right there. But they have some other distance runners that fill in nicely as well. Ella Hawkins, Malia Simpson, who was a freshman last year. I think she's going to be a tough runner this year. But what will be interesting for them is how they do in the sprints and the field events. Will dominating the mid-distance events be enough to win the whole county title? They certainly can do it. They've shown they could do it in the past, but they don't have Maggie in the hurdles and the sprints. So will they have someone step up in those events is a big question.
Yeah, you've got 6 other schools shooting to win that county championship. And I think when we talk about names coming back, one that might have flown under the radar a little bit last year because she was so young, Michaela Fleetwood at North Hagerstown. But, man, her upside is tremendous.
Her upside is absolutely tremendous. My wife coached at North High last year, so I know a little bit about Michaela from hearing tales from my wife. Extremely hard worker. She's more of a sprinter, but she would do workouts with distance standout Emily Ward. So, that's not an easy thing to do. And she's also a very good high jumper. She's a good field event athlete. So she's not just going to be tough to beat on the track. By the way I see it, she's the 2nd best returner in the 55-meter dash and the 300-meter dash behind Gabby Reason, and also the 2nd best returning high jumper. So, and then there might be another, I would imagine that Coach Myers is going to put her in a 4th event, maybe a relay, maybe an open race, but she certainly will score big points at the state meet.
South Hagerstown has some athletes who also could score them some points. Brianna Masser, one of those coming back over there. And at Williamsport, I think, as we get kind of short on time here, at Williamsport last year, I don't know that a lot of people would have thought back and said, hey, they were 2nd in the county last year, but that's the truth.
Yes, they were. Williamsport has always been very good, again, at those middle distance races. You can always count on Williamsport having a strong 4x400 meter relay. And then that translates well in indoor track for the 300 meter run, the 500 meter run, and the 800 meter run. They're still strong there. It's where they had a lot of success last year. So I look for that to continue. As well as, don't forget, Morgan Oyster is the defending county champ in the shot put. So, people will be gunning for her, but she's still tough, and she's going to be tough to beat.
Well, that's what we've got for girls. And again, it all goes so fast here. We'll be back to take a look at what we can expect from the boys in indoor track and field. Coach Hood's back with me in just a moment.
For over 25 years, Tony's Pizzeria has been serving authentic Italian cuisine. Open daily for lunch and dinner. Stop by today and enjoy one of their many house favorites, made fresh from scratch daily, in the newly expanded and remodeled dining area. Serving a full liquor bar, beer, and wine, Tony's 50-person banquet room is perfect for your next celebration. Dine in, take out, or delivery. Come see what's new at Tony's Pizzeria Restaurant and Grill, 10 East Salisbury Street in Williamsport.
Since 1963, you've been trusting the folks at Hagerstown Floors. It's still a family-owned and operated business featuring a variety of high-quality flooring choices for your home, like carpet, ceramic, hardwood, vinyl, and we offer floor sanding and refinishing for your existing hardwoods. And you'll find us stocked warehouse, full of flooring options for do-it-yourselfers, or take advantage of our in-house installers for expert installation. Hagerstown Floors on Virginia Avenue in Hagerstown, the trusted name in flooring since 1963.
If there's one thing my dad taught me, when life doesn't go exactly how you plan, keep it simple. Sometimes a few curveballs are thrown your way. With one visit to Bank of Charlestown, they helped me map out a strategy to start the next chapter of my life. Even though I work with my hands, I still work with people. That's what BCT does best. They're my trusted advisor for all the details and whatever comes next.
From home improvement loans and mortgages to business lines of credit, find out what a partnership with BCT can do for you. BCT, we simplify your financial life. Now in Hagerstown.
Welcome back to our indoor track and field preview. We continue now with the boys. And Coach, unlike the girls where 5 of 10 county champs return, only 1 of the 10 boys champions return, and he happens to be from Smithsburg.
Yeah, it's nice to have him back, certainly. Kyle Ebersol is an extremely hard worker in the hurdles, so we're also going to be expecting a little more out of him this year by adding to his repertoire pole vault, which he's done kind of on the side, but a little bit more out of that from him this year. And we also have Will Ewing back in the hurdles, who is it's nice to have a young man come out who's 6'6", and a Division I lacrosse athlete.
Yes, that doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt at all.
Those physical tools are nice to have.
Correct. And so we expect big things out of him as well in the hurdles this year, as well as the sprints. A little bit more of a role for him this year.
Well, I'd be remiss in not mentioning that Smithsburg is the defending 1A state champion in indoor track and field and has won 2 of the last 3 years, as a matter of fact. And I think, when you look at that Smithsburg roster, there are a lot of names there who are very familiar. Now, some big names graduated, but there are plenty there, as you've mentioned it already, in Ebersol and Ewing coming back.
Yeah, we did graduate mostly some big-time sprinters. A lot of guys who helped us out in the sprints last year, Caleb Cardone, Stephen Rochelle, Garrett Gafir, Kyle Bywaters. So we need to replace some of those guys. That's why we're expecting people like Will Ewing to run, to be more involved in the sprint races as opposed to just the hurdles this year. And we have some guys who last year weren't even good enough to be on our varsity roster who are certainly going to step up and do a nice job just because we were so senior-led in the sprint events.
Yeah, nice to be able to kind of reload a little bit there as opposed to having to sort of skip a year and get back. And again, we don't know how it'll all play out, but you sound pretty optimistic about that. At Boonesboro, it seems like they're able to do that every single year. 2 straight years, the Warriors have won the county championship. They prevailed in 6 of the events at the county meet a year ago, and it looks like it could be a Smithsburg-Boonesboro head knocker there for the county championship this year.
Certainly. Boonesboro, I think this year, and the boys are going to be led again in the distance races. I think Brandon Turnbull is going to have an outstanding season. He had a great cross-country season. He was second in the cross-country county meet, so he could be a tough runner for Boonesboro in the 800, the mile, and the 2 mile. And then in the throws, Boonesboro could very easily sweep the shot put. They could go 1, 2, 3 in that with Alec Nittinger, Tony Giuseppe, and Dakota Pfeiffer are all very strong throwers. So that could certainly rack up the points. You get 24 points in one event. You need about 100 to win the county title. It's nice to get 1/4 of them out of one of the 13 events, certainly.
Yeah, we were talking before we went on the air about the fact that there aren't as many points in the field events indoors, but nonetheless, all of those count, especially when you look at the way things play out just on the state level itself. Talking about last year with the boys and the way it came down to the finish, Smithsburg over Pikesville by 4.5 points right there, 4.5 points. So you can go all the way down to that 8th place finisher, and that point is as important as somebody who would win a race somewhere down the line when you add them all up.
Certainly, winning a state event, you get 10 points for your team. And so that certainly gets a lot of the highlights, it gets a lot of the coverage, and that's great, and it's outstanding for that young athlete, but in reality, it does take a team effort. I've seen many teams go down to the state meet with a lot of very good individuals that didn't have the depth and couldn't come back with a title, and I've seen teams go down there without any strong individual and win a state title. So there are different routes by which to get it, as in any other sport, but certainly those smaller point scores definitely matter at the state meet for bringing home a state title.
South Hagerstown was 3rd at the county meet a year ago, and they certainly returned the guy with the biggest name in terms of distance racing in Darren Harmon, who just dominated the cross-country season.
Had an outstanding cross-country season. You could tell he put in a lot of hard work. I don't see why that would not continue through the indoor season. I would expect him to do extremely well in the distance races, again, with Brandon Turnbull. So they might have a nice little battling out. It's interesting sometimes to see what happens when someone is good at 3 miles. Are they as strong at 1 mile?
Right.
Can someone who was just on that guy's heels have a little bit more speed and catch him? So that'll be interesting to see, certainly.
Could be a great equalizer sometimes in a big way. Final statement here from you. What this season do you see making people love this indoor track and field season? What should we look forward to?
I think first I want to encourage people to come out and check out some meets over at HCC. It's almost every Friday night over the winter. It's a bit like a 3-ring circus. Something going on everywhere, as you've seen. But I think what you're going to see out of Washington County indoor track and field is what you've seen over recent years, which is a lot of success. Since 2008, when we went to a 4 classification system, we've had 3 girls champions, 4 girls team runners up. We've had 2 boys champions, 2 boys teams runners up. And it has a lot to do with the fact that we get great coverage from shows like Inside Sport and from the Herald Mail newspaper. We got great officials, we got great parents, the coaches are outstanding, the kids work hard. It really leads to a lot of success. So I think you're just going to see that continuation of success this year. I certainly hope so.
Well, Coach, we wish you the best at Smithsburg this season. Look forward to following the year ahead.
Thank you very much.
Next week, I'm back with more previews. It's part 2 of the preview show. We've got boys basketball, wrestling, and a little hockey for you, too. Until then, I'll see you on the inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers.